When he saw inevitability of going into primary, he left. He gave a reason that it was monetized, it was dollarized. So that's why in 2027, the ADC wanted to give him everything to avoid him making any excuse. But I will tell you what will shock you. When I came into ADC, the first strategic meeting I met, before even the unveiling, I told them, don't build anything on Peter Obi, because he's not going to contest under ADC. He will still leave.
You told them this?
Outrightly. In the first meeting that I went.
Even before the unveiling of the party?
Even before the unveiling of the party. I told you we were, in a coalition. Yes. We were, negotiating. So it's an honor and a privilege that they called me to negotiate with me on my person. Let me tell you another thing I told them. I said, I am not going to come into the coalition through the Southeast led by Obi, because it will be a waste of my time. Because I know he will eventually leave, and nobody will portray me as a man that is unstable as water, because then I will not live with him. So why try it in the first place? They were looking at me. So they were like, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure of what I'm saying. Because I stopped being a spokesperson to him, because I was sure that he was not stable. And we went on. That is why they were consulting him on his own. They were consulting me on my own. We were moving together, and they were weighing his words, and they were weighing my words.
Welcome to Naija Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is Dr. Kenneth Okonkwo, veteran actor, lawyer, politician, and currently ex-official member of the African Democratic Congress, NWC. You're welcome to the show once again, Dr. Okonkwo.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this meeting once again, and thank you, viewers from wherever you are watching.
Okay, let's get right into our conversation without wasting our time. Your former principal, Mr. Peter Obi, and former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, just exited your party, ADC, over the weekend, on Sunday to be precise. So, how did this news, how did you receive the news? And what's your take on their decision to exit the party?
I don't know why people make mountain out of a molehill. For me, I did not think it was relevant enough to bother me. If you discovered that I've not said anything about it. I've not made any comment in any of my social media network, because what is there to bother yourself about? When you have a politician that you know will always move and is still moving. Within 6 months, Peter Obi has been a member of 3 political parties. By December 30th, he was in Labour Party. By December 31st, he was a DC member. By May 3rd, he is in NDC. Were it not for the Electoral Act that forbids people from moving at a certain point, I cannot guarantee you he wouldn't have moved to another party before the end of this electoral cycle. So that is him. However, let me note that moving from one party to the other is not what questions or interrogates a politician's character or capacity or competence. Because in Nigeria, we can see that the political atmosphere is fluid and things change rapidly. And so I would not characterize any politician that moved from one party to the other as lacking in character or competence. But what I am interested in more is the reason for your movement. What is your reason for moving? That is what will characterize whether you did it out of competence or character or convenience. Now, what did Peter Obi give as reason for his movement? He said, I do not have any problem with David Mark. That means he didn't have any problem with the party. He said, I don't have any problem with Atiku Abubakar, meaning he does not have any problem with any of the aspirants. But look at the reason he gave. He said, I am running away from the challenges of ADC. I don't like trouble. I don't like challenges. And so let me go to where there is peace. And that is what struck me. Can you imagine a politician who is asking you for your support to be president of the most challenged country on earth? Nigeria today is the most challenged country, both physically and mentally, on earth. The fourth most terrorized nation on earth. The nation that has the most rapidly going down economy, borrowing more than it can repair, meaning a nation that is going into bankruptcy economically, a nation that people are being killed every day. The terrorists at times tie people on the stake, put fire under them and burn them. A nation where the youths and women are unemployed, and most of them are unemployable. So you have this kind of myriad of problems, challenges, and a man opened his mouth, a politician, and confessed he's running away from challenges. So if you're running away from challenges, what is your business asking Nigerians to trust you with a country that is most challenged? That statement has already buried his political career, because you cannot be asking to be challenged when you're running away from challenges. This spoke to his incapacity, to his incompetence and lack of character. And that is what is most important. Hold on. It is worse enough that he said that he's running away from challenges, but it is more terrible that he lied about it. He gave the reason is because of the challenges in ADC, but that is a lie. Why is it a lie? First and foremost, the challenges which mostly are legal that he referred to were the challenges he met when he came into ADC. For instance, the Nafiu Bala legal challenge was instituted against ADC on the 2nd of September. Peter Obi came in December 31st. So the challenge was there. He knew it before coming in. So it couldn't have been because of the legal challenges that he left ADC. By May 3rd, when he left, it was exactly the same position ADC was when he came in. That is exactly the same position ADC was when he left. So he lied when he said it was because of the legal challenges. Because volunteer non fit injuria, what you know existed and you entered into it knowingly, you cannot claim that that is the reason. So the issue about legal challenges, he lied about it because that was not the issue. But we'll come to that later. Now, why do you think that Peter Obi did not give the excuse that he left because the primary that will be organized will be dollarized? Why do you think that he didn't give the excuse that it will be monetized? You know why? Before Peter Obi came in to ADC, he gave it as a condition that he will be the one that will nominate the NOS, the National Organizing Secretary. That is the position that organizes every Congress and every primary. And he was very clear about it because he wanted to be the one to organize the Congresses and the primary. And the party has ceded it to him without asking questions on the competence and the corruption index of the person he's bringing. They have ceded it to him. When the time came for registration, E-line, it was still his own aide, my own sister, Aisha Yusuf, that was placed to be in charge of the E-line registration, because that will determine the numbers of people that will vote if we go into direct primary. So, and the reason also is that so that he will be the one in charge of determining who will vote and the procedure and the committees that will organize the primary. So Peter Obi knows that he was giving all those concessions so that he will know that ADC was prepared for free, fair, and credible primary election. That is why you didn't hear him say, oh, it's because it is monetized. Oh, though some of his followers that are of the street urchin family will still be talking, whoa, like Rabbi the cookies, saying dollarize. ADC wants to bring something new. That is why Peter is not saying, I am leaving because the primary is monetized, because he is the one who would have organized the primary. Now, having said this, then what is now the true reason why he left?
So let me, at this point, sorry to butt in, let me now read what he said in his statement that he released.
Right.
First, he said, the ADC has been plagued by deepening internal crisis and a toxic political environment. He also pointed to worsening factional battles, deep suspicion, and a growing lack of unity in the ADC. These are some of his stated reasons for leaving. Of course, he didn't mention the issue of dollarization or rigged, whatever, So can you respond quickly, briefly, so that we can, there's a lot we need to cover, Dr. Kenneth?
Good. I was to tell you the real reason he left.
Okay.
Because as you can see, the coalition was complete. All the opposition leaders were complete in the coalition. So which faction? Which crisis?
Toxicity.
How? There was only one person that was bringing toxicity in ADC, and that person is Peter Obi.
How?
He was the only person that went around asking others to step down for him. I was coming to tell you the reason he left. So that's why let me proceed.
Continue.
Because that is what brought the toxicity. His followers are the only people that go about insulting other leaders. Before he came in on December 31st, we were respectful of our leaders. We were going in peacefully. But by nature, chaos follows him. Immediately they came in. What brought the toxin? Obi or nothing. That was what brought the toxin into ADC. Now, let me tell you the reason he left. So forget all those things you read. Obi is a man who is afraid of free, fair, credible primary election. And this is the reason he left. Throughout his political career, he has never contested for any position. People don't know why. The first time he wanted to become governor, he went into primary and he was beaten flat in Apga by Ralph Moose, because Ralph Moose was the one who built Apga in Anambra State. So when he came in to contest, of course, he came in from London and wanted to, move in. He's not a politician. He does not know anything about politics. He's not a team player. he told you he's a trader, and one mark of a sole proprietor is that he goes alone. But this is not democratic. So when he was defeated, he and his colleagues still found a way to cancel purported the primary. And they went behind, and in the purported consensus, they gave him the ticket. And so that was how he started his political career, building it on sand, not on democracy.
How did the Odime Gojuku enter into this brief history? I just need to understand that.
Yes, if you would allow me to land, because we are moving into it. It was because when he lost that primary, he now went into the stakeholders,
the owners of the party,
and then started telling them how he will be the one who would help. And then, he came from London then, brought in the resources then, and then they chose him. Once Ojukwu said, okay, let's go with this person, that's the end. That was how he came in. So Ojukwu was the leader of Apoga. And if you found a way of going into his heart in Apoga and he chooses you, it makes a whole lot of weight for you. But like I said, having built his political career on non-democratic foundation, he got possessed with that entitlement mentality, and he got possessed with undemocratic spirit. So anytime he gets into a party, he has this morbid fear of internal democracy. So when the PDP, when he started nourishing the ambition to be president, and he wouldn't have ever contested to be president. It was when Atiku Abubakar magnanimously chose him against the will of elected people in the Southeast then, because he didn't have any elective post. They were telling him, do you know the person you're choosing? He said, no, I've talked with him and this. So he chose him. Atiku Abubakar is a man who is looking for sound people. So if you show yourself very sound, he might get carried away. He might not even want to know any other thing behind you. And he now chose him. Of course, he got some backlash for choosing him.
2019.
Yes, he stuck out his neck. That was what brought him to national politics. So he wouldn't have contested. By 2023, when he saw inevitability of going into primary, he left. He gave a reason that it was monetized, it was dollarized. So that's why in 2027, the ADC wanted to give him everything to avoid him making any excuse. But I will tell you what will shock you. When I came into ADC, the first strategic meeting I met, before even the unveiling, I told them, don't build anything on Peter Obi, because he's not going to contest under ADC. He will still leave.
You told them this?
Outrightly. In the first meeting that I went.
Even before the unveiling of the party?
Even before the unveiling of the party. I told you we were, in a coalition. Yes. We were, negotiating. So it's an honor and a privilege that they called me to negotiate with me on my person. Let me tell you another thing I told them. I said, I am not going to come into the coalition through the Southeast led by Obi, because it will be a waste of my time. Because I know he will eventually leave. And nobody will portray me as a man that is unstable as water. Because then I will not live with him. So why try it in the first place? They were looking at me. So they were like, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure of what I'm saying. Because I stopped being a spokesperson to him because I was sure that he was not stable. And we went on. That is why they were consulting him on his own. They were consulting me on my own. We were moving together. And they were weighing his words. And they were weighing my words. And each time they see that all the promises and words he makes them, he fails them. And that was how my hand was growing because of stability and honesty. His own hand was going down because of instability and toxin. that he brings in always. And at the end of the day, he left. They called me and said, Kenneth Okonkwo, are you a prophet? I said, no.
I was just going to ask you that. Are you a prophet?
Because I was scared they might ask me what will happen to me tomorrow and I will fail. So I said, no. I'm just an honest man that will tell you the truth no matter the backlash. So all through this while we were negotiating, I never sat down in the same room with Obi. And that is why you see me now still being who I am in ADC. And he now left with some people that he wants to destroy their political career. But the thing I'm going to say is it because of zoning that he left? No. Why? Because he was still going to aspirants from the south and was still asking them to step down for him. So if it is zoning, he would have limited it to the northern aspirants and now saying leave it for the south so that the southern aspirants will contest.
Can square off against each other.
But it's not zoning. Because he went to the southern aspirants to ask them to step down for him. Is it because of the interest of Igbo? Let us interrogate it. First of all, on the day he agreed he would do 4 years, that's when I know that he has no interest of Igbo at heart. From 1960, when we had our independence, no Igbo man has been an executive president democratically. And you're telling me, as a Nigerian from Igbo extraction, that I will line up to support a candidate that will do only 4 years. Why I fought in 2022, 2023, that it must come to Southeast, and I know we won that election, is so that we'll do our 8 years. And now the turn of the South has been taken by Tinubu. Anytime any person from Nigeria, from Igbo extraction, comes into that post, he will do 80 years. And that is what I'm going to support. But it has to be strategic. It has to be systematical. Because you operate in democracy. And that was why I said, what is our best strategy? Do you know that nobody from the Southwest has ever confronted an incumbent that is sitting on the throne? Because they know that they don't have the majority and they don't have the apparatus of power to back themselves up. Now that Tinubu has taken 4 years, if we are not careful in the Southeast and we don't strategize, he will take the 8 years. And it will take us like 12 more years from 2027 to ever aspire to even be vice president. Because from the way Tinubu hates Igbo, he will not even give them vice president in 2031 if you ever allow him to recontest. That means he won't even be president or vice till 2039, maybe. So it is in our strategic interest that we make the alignment now that will save us from political extinction, and an alignment that will guarantee us that when we get there, we'll be there for 8 years. After the war, we were promised reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. If you watch Nigeria, it is as if it's yesterday that Tinubu was sworn in. So 4 years moves like magic, like loss, like air. So if you are an Igbo man and you say you want to do 4 years, please, what time would you have to treat the challenges of Nigeria and then come to reconstruct and rehabilitate and reconcile Igbo land the way you should be doing it? No. It is for personal interest. Anybody from Igbo extraction who enters there will do 8 years. And the only way is to know that you make an alignment that will give you the president or vice in 2027 and then the president in 2031 so that you will do your 8 years. So it couldn't have been for the interest of Igbo that you will come to say you will do 4 years. Now, let me come in again on the interest of Igbo. After we finished our election 2020-2023, they started pushing down our building in Lagos. We didn't have an incumbent to defend us. Buhari was APC. We didn't vote for him. Obi was there. He did nothing. They started killing our people in Lagos. Even one Igbo leader that was an Igbo in Lagos, out of annoyance, he said, look, if you don't defend our people, I will call IPOP to defend us. They caught him, put him in detention for 2 years. Obi said nothing. And all these people were suffering because of 2022, 2023, that they gave him his vote. He said nothing. On the day that they brought down the building of, he said it is his brother, he went there and snapped. Oh, this is what they are doing to me because I want to be president. Meanwhile, it was a court order that they used. How many of the buildings of Igbo that suffered because they voted for him, that he went to their damaged building to snap, to tell the world? Let me tell you, from where I come from, we are looking for men of valor to lead us, not men of victim mentality. When it concerns you, you will go and begin to cry like a baby. Victim mentality. When they pulled down his own building also in trade fair, he went there to say, hey, they are destroying. Obi's definition of democracy is government of Peter Obi, by Peter Obi, for Peter Obi. None for the interest of any other human being, much more the interest of Igbo. Igbo, they are coming last politically in Nigeria because of people like Peter Obi. He was governor at the same time with Tinubu. Tinubu made a lot of politicians and groomed them, because the success of a leader is that you have successors you have built. Peter Obi built nobody. So you can see how when they are now contesting for the position of the presidency, Tinubu has a lot of boys he can use. Obi has none because he has built nobody. Let's even come to the area of business. In Igbo land, we have the Igbo boy system, whereby when you are a trader, you will carry all along people who you will groom in that field and settle them. How many has Peter Obi groomed? None. And so in the real tradition of Igbo and in our culture by which we help others, none. So if you're talking about an ambassador of Igbo, talk about somebody who will defend our interest no matter the challenge it poses on him, and who will be selfless to know that you should take the interest of your people at heart first before your own interest. Let me say this, and I say it unapologetically. Anytime a politician calls me to talk, the first thing I present before the politician is, what is your agenda for good governance for Nigeria? That's the first thing, because that's why I'm a member of MGG, Movement for Good Governance. And you would have to answer me correctly. The next thing I say is, what is your agenda for the youth and for the women? Because in Nigeria, they have been essentially marginalized. Then I will say, what is your agenda for Igbo? Because all politics is local. I have never discussed the issue of money with any politician till date. And let me tell you the reason I do it. When you demarginalize a marginalized sector in a society, it is not just mere social responsibility. It is a strategic necessity for sustainable development and national cohesion. This is what I told the youths and the women when they had a summit. And this is what I will continue to say. You're not doing them a favor. You are trying to make sure that your society develops and there is national cohesion. Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So when you're talking about interest of Igbo, zero. So it is just about him, himself, and I. So for this politics is I, myself, and me. And that is not the culture of Igbo. We will move on. In addition, Ndi Igbo do not run away from challenges. They run to challenges, confront it and take it out. Because we are travelers and we are traders. And this category of people are always confronted with challenges because they operate even in soil and in nations they are not aware of and they were not born of. So we do not run away from challenges. So when he says he runs away from challenges, my advice to him is please keep running. And then run away also from contesting from 2027 because
and he strongly criticized Mr. Peter Obi, his defection from the ADC to the NDC. He described his movement as not showing good leadership trait. He expressed skepticism, over the viability of the partnership, Obi Kwankwaso partnership to win, in 2027. That, in fact, he said, Dr. Darcy said, the North would most definitely, not give them any appreciable level of votes in that contest in 2027. Because of time, we've only taken just 3 or 4 questions, Dr. Kenneth. What's your take on this, Dr. Darcy? Because this seems to align with what you said.
First of all, it annoys me that it's my abbreviation that they are using for their campaign. Okay,
you coined that abbreviation.
No, that's Okonkwo Kenneth.
Oh, okay.
Then, if you put it the other way, that's Kenneth Okonkwo, K.O.
Yeah.
But the difference is that in their own vocabulary,
yes,
K.O. is not okay. But in my own vocabulary, K.O. is okay. because Kenneth Okonkwo is Okonkwo Kenneth. But Kwankwaso Obi is not Obi Kwankwaso. But you see, it's unfortunate that people can do anything so desperate just to be president. It is unfortunate because I remember in 2022, 2023, when Kwankwaso was being pleaded with to become the vice president of Obi, not only that he rejected it, he made a lot of derogatory statements. So, unfortunately, because he has lost Kanu, lost relevance, lost everything, he's now looking for any straw to hold to prep up his political relevance. Yes. Because a man, after saying all those terrible things, for you to come when you know that Peter Obi will not win without the coalition, because there is an incumbent that has said he will fight it, he will grab it, he will snatch it and run away with it, and he now has all the apparatus of power to achieve that. When he didn't have any of those powers, he overran the system. And now he has all those apparatus of power. And then an Obi that runs away from challenges now want to go and challenge him. So meaning even if he wins, he will take it away from him. And a man who doesn't like challenges, he will say calm down and that will be the end of it. So that Baba Ahmed was simply echoing what I said long time ago. July 2024. Go and read what I wrote when I said I wasn't going to speak for him again. I said I will not speak for a man that I do not know his stand on important national issues. I said I will not speak for a man who is unstable, who even if you fight for him and win victory for him, he was not even strong enough to secure even the victory. So what's the need? Speaking. And I said a lot of other things. The title of that speech I made was My Political Journey to Nigeria's Greatness, or thereabout. Political Journey to a Great Nigeria. Go and read it again. So maybe then they didn't even understand me. But can you imagine a politician that left Labour Party? He was not able to win the confidence of his vice presidential candidate. He was not able to win the confidence of his state governor. One governor. There were 2 factions of Labour Party. He was not able to win the confidence of either of the factions. Nobody followed him. So he brought nothing actually to ADC. By the time he came into ADC, his political career was already in tatters because he had already lost his polling unit in a gubernatorial election that he single-handedly picked the gubernatorial candidate. They even brought the widow of the assassinated member of the House of Assembly from Labour Party, yet she lost. So Obi's political career was already in tatters. He needed ADC then. ADC did not need him because ADC told him, pop and plain, we don't have a ticket to give because power is not given. We have a ticket that the most qualified would take because power is taken. We are not interested in undemocratic way of bringing our candidate in 2027. If you're not interested in that, you are free to go. So he knew that. So he came into ADC to revive his political career that was already dead. From Anambra State. Recall when he came into ADC, he went to Enugu State to come into ADC. He couldn't even come from Anambra State because it had become toxic for him. And so Obi needed ADC. If he were sincere in winning, because that is not his objective, he knew and he still knows that he needs ADC more than ADC needs him.
Let me ask this.
But because he's not sincere in winning, that's why you see him going to go alone, probably to divide the votes of ADC or the coalition. And I've said it, anybody that goes alone is working for Tinubu.
Yeah, let me ask at this point. You have it, I have it on record, something you said. And let me quote you directly. If Peter Obi doesn't get the ADC presidential ticket and leaves the party, it means he is compromised and working for President Tinubu. Now, the reality is that he didn't even wait to contest the primaries before leaving.
Yes.
So, let me ask you frontally. Is Peter Obi working for President Tinubu?
Yes. Let me answer you frontally. Because you can work for Tinubu directly or indirectly. You recall what Femi Gbajebamila said?
Yes.
Abejide. No, but Abejide, we need you in ADC. Don't come out. Stay there.
Yes.
Fight them.
Yes.
Scatter them.
Yes.
Destroy them. That is indirectly working for Tinubu. But he's in ADC. The young man who loves his political life has already he had already escaped from ADC. After we had our victory in Supreme Court, he knew that all other legal challenges are dead. So he ran away. Now he ran into APC. Now he is working for Tinubu directly. But if he were in ADC to scatter ADC, he was still working for Tinubu, but indirectly. And in either way, Tinubu will be supporting the person, whether the person knows it or not. Some of your financiers will come from Tinubu's desk, whether you know it or not. So what happened now is that the Tinubu people will be so happy. Remember, they have been trying to preach that Peter Obi should, run alone, this and that. So Ayofa speaking, so now they've gotten what they want. Of course, they will support him. So I said and I maintain that as it stands now, NDC with Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, they are working for the emergence of Tinubu. But Nigerian people will see through the facade and will still maintain the coalition, because Peter Obi also subscribed to the coalition and has not given any excuse against the coalition as the reason why he's leaving. So if he did not give any excuse against the coalition, the Nigerian people should stand with the coalition. As I know, even most of Peter Obi's followers who have dint of honor in their life will stand with the coalition, because it is the people of Nigeria against Tinubu and against the kleptocrats. The kleptocrats and the kakistocrats that are with Tinubu by Senator Ndume's own judgment, and vote Tinubu out and vote Obi and the Kwankwaso that are trying to enable the emergence of Tinubu, vote them out. Coalition is the way to go.
Let me ask you, let's interrogate this Obi persona.
Yeah.
This, would you call this entire ruckus about Peter Obi, this noise, this, I'm looking for a better choice of word. Is it a messianic complex? Because the obedience, you were one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if you were the one that even coined that very strong brand. They're one of the strongest, more than the articulators or the I don't know whether it's Akpabio I will call, or the Baptists. They are so fiercely devoted, fiercely loyal, devoted to Peter Obi. Victor Ume is Peter Obi. Senator Barry is now all the yesterday House of Reps members, senators, they left ADC to join NDC, ostensibly to follow Peter Obi.
Okay, now.
Part to Tommy and the rest of them who says Peter Obi or nothing. Can you speak to this maybe 1 or 2 minutes?
All right, let me come in here. I was laughing because, first and foremost, go and check all those bloggers. There's something they always say at the end of it. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Please, if you have not liked, like, share, and comment. They are looking for traffic.
We're all doing the same thing. It's normal.
Good. They are looking for money. What is it is the news that will catch fire, that will draw people to their blog? That is all. They don't even know what is going on at all. What message are they passing? Insults. Blackmail. That's why I say they are ill-mannered, ill-bred, that's why I call them a cool case. That's why I call them street urchins. And above all, when you bring a vessel that is empty, beat it. That is the one that makes the most noise. And that is why your characterization, noise, is what fits them most. What is the message they are passing? So, they can even go naked when they are shouting, oh, brother, Kenneth Okonkwo. There was one they showed me. The only thing I was hearing is, Kenneth Okonkwo, Kenneth. I said, I was waiting to hear the message, and all I was saying is, Kenneth Okonkwo. So that even if you're sleeping, when you hear it, you will run to go to the traffic. And at the end of the day, I still heard, have you subscribed? If you have not subscribed, go and subscribe. It's unfortunate that he has reduced his campaign to noisemakers, empty vessels, street urchins, and a cool case. You know, at a certain point, I wondered, what is it about you that attracts only the people that pour toxin into a system, making chaos to follow you anywhere you go to? Let me tell you the truth. One of the best blessings of ADC is that Peter Obi is out. Because the impression now you will create that there is a division, there is a friction, they will not be there again. He joined the coalition. He left the coalition. I was in one media house and they were asking me, I said, yes, I am part of the coalition, negotiating for the coalition. You will see the coalition, all of them will come together and agree they will coalesce. But on the day we start talking about who gets who and position, that conflict you're saying and wishing for, you will see it. You will see the differences will manifest. So it's normal. There's nothing at all that is abnormal about this. Nothing. Except that God has saved ADC from the chaos that naturally follow Peter Obi. So it is really a plus and a blessing in this guy. So watch ADC. We are going to win the election 2027. All these people that are deceiving Nigerians about zoning. Let me just touch about it so that you will see the deception. Our democracy came in 1999.
Fourth Republic.
Fourth Republic. Obasanjo came in a southerner. He did his 8 years. Yaradua came in. He did only 2.5 years and died. The North was begging, please let us complete our 8 years. They told them no. It is not constitutional. The constitution is that if a man dies in office, the vice president takes over. The North say, okay, We can understand that. Then Goodluck Jonathan took over. 2 years and a half. Then by 2011, Jonathan was to step down, not to contest, so that a Northerner will come in and finish the 8 years. The North still came in, believing that the 8 years will be honored. The North came together as the North, made their own internal democracy. 4 of them contested. Gusso, General Gusso, IBB, Saraki, and Atiku. The North unanimously opened it under PDP, then I was ruling party, believing that the 8-year rotation will be honored. Atiku won in the internal democracy. Atiku now came and they went to Jonathan to plead. There is an agreement of 8 years. They said no. From the South, I remember I wrote an article. I said, why Jonathan should not run? Let us respect this 8-year rotational agenda. I wrote it, it was published. 1 in the Lawmaker, 2 in the Sun. Why Jonathan should not run? They said no. That when such a thing happens, then it will still not be injustice if the North and the South share the 8 years into 4 years. That the tenure of a president is 4 years. That is what brought the issue of sharing in 4 years, when it is impossible to share 8 years. Because facts are sacred. That was how Jonathan refused and went into primary in Eagle Square with this same article that they are blaming unjustly, that he is the one who does not want to do this and that. And Atiku went into the primary and Jonathan defeated him. And Atiku still obediently, despite the North having the tears that they had a president that died in office, Atiku still went ahead to campaign for Jonathan, and Jonathan won. When Jonathan did 4 years, I still came into it and said, let us not correct this mistake with another mistake. Let us allow the South to finish their 8 years, so that we will be sure that this 8 years, the North said no. That the South has already now said it is for 4 years, that they should take this for 4 years. That Obasanjo did his 8 years, that their own 8 years they have not done. And you know who they found as an ally in this? Tinubu. Because Tinubu wanted to be president, so he had no commitment whatsoever to certain agenda. It was commitment to his own power. And he aligned with the North on that. That was justice. But that was still terminating the 8-year agreement. That was when they defeated Jonathan. That was when the 8-year agenda died. Whenever anything happens along the line. Now, Buhari came in and now did 8 years to compensate for the Obasanjo 8 years. And Tinubu now came in when it was not the turn of the Southwest, when it was the turn of the Southeast. And now he broke in and snatched it like he said he will from the Southeast. Snatched it, grabbed it, and ran away with it. And now he has taken it for 4 years. And I am from the Southeast. And I don't want to do only 4 years. And I know that if that 8 years is divided between North and South in 4 years, there is no injustice. Because the North still has a deficit that has not been repaid in Yaradua. Because even the 4 years of Yaradua, they had not completed. So assuming, without considering, that the North even gets it in 2027, with an agreement that they will do only 4 years, with this kind of terrible government we are in, where they will not be shortchanging the South, because by 2027, even if a Northerner wins it and is doing 4 years, the North would have had it for 14 years, and the South would still have had it for almost 18 years. So with that at my mind, that strategy will not bring injustice between North and South, because it's sharing the 4 years, and it will favor the Southeast, because Southeast has not produced even the president or vice. Because if we're able to become president or vice in 2027 and become president in 2031, That is the best strategy. Tinubu did it, and Tinubu has become president. If I have the opportunity, that's the strategy I will do. Where did you learn it from? I learned it from Tinubu. And then we will achieve it. And the Southeast will benefit from it. So there is no injustice whatsoever. And that's why ADC is saying we are leaving our ticket open for every Nigerian to contest. And there will be level playing field. And they gave Obi all the responsibility to achieve that, Mr. Integrity. And then Mr. Integrity ran away.
The Supreme Court saved ADC, gave ADC a new lease on life, as it were. But some have rather opined that it's a booby trap. And even Mr. Peter Obi alluded to that there are so many legal land mines, laid ahead for anybody who emerges as either governorship or presidential candidate of the ADC and all of that. So, in a minute or two, Dr. Kenneth, I know it's difficult, but please help us. Can you give us a concise, you're a sound lawyer, your own understanding of the Supreme Court verdict, and if it is true there are legal landmines, ahead for ADC?
First and foremost, there is no legal challenge facing ADC whatsoever now. And I talk as a lawyer, and I talk as an eyewitness that witnessed the Supreme Court judgment. I sat there, and you know what? For a long time now, I am so pleased with the Supreme Court. When I was hearing them give judgment, at a certain point in my heart, I screamed, Justice Chukwudefo, are you talking to me? Kayode Sho, am I hearing your voice? I saw the erudition,
The soundness,
the ancient wisdom of those jurists that sat on our bench. They descended on that day, possessed these 5 judges, and they were giving impeccable judgment, sound reasoning. Both the one that dissented on the PDP case, both the one that assented. It was beautiful. You know what they did? They simply said ADC does not have any problem whatsoever. Indeed, they blamed ADC. Why are you in court when you don't have problem? That is when they say that they've dismissed David Mark's case. The issue they dismissed is that Supreme Court is asking ADC, why did you come on appeal when you don't have problem, and when even the judgment of the trial court was in your favor? You don't have anything to appeal about. Go back to the trial court. When an appellate court say you don't have anything to appeal about, what does that mean? There is no case you should be afraid of. That's what it means. And they said, even the trial courts refused to grant the ex parte order. That is, we were not there. We did not put any process, yet the trial court refused to grant the ex parte order. You know why? In my own opinion, the judge saw it and saw that there is nothing to grant. He said, okay, please, let me hear the other party. It was not necessary that we went on appeal. The Court of Appeal that put in that preservatory orders. If you watched my interview, I said the Court of Appeal does not have any power to make any order in any case they have declined jurisdiction. And having even made that preservatory orders, a professor of law who is a son, who is Josh Amopito, the INEC chairman, who ought to be independent and neutral, has no business interpreting preservatory orders, because they are not orders. They are simply a mere restatement of procedural legal principle. Any lawyer that goes to court knows that you must maintain status quo. You cannot do anything to affect the rest and foist on a court a fait accompli. So I said that order is non-existent. And I said Josh Amopita interpreted a non-existent order, which he just intentionally did it to decapitate the ADC. Now, preservatory orders are meant to be a shield, not a sword. They are meant to preserve the subject matter of the case by Court of Appeal's own enumeration of the brief facts of the case. They say this is a dispute that arose from the leadership of a political party. This is Court of Appeal saying it. And they say preserve the rest. What you ought to be preserving is the rest, which is the leadership of the party, till the trial court gives judgment. So I don't know where Josh Amopita got his, I think from the table of APC. Because for me, it's the victory assured for APC INEC chairman. So, because how can a professor, a court that has declined jurisdiction? So that was exactly what the Supreme Court said. They agreed with that my earlier analysis that the Court of Appeal overreached itself by giving any order whatsoever. One, it was not the court of first instance where the case is. So, and again, you, the Court of Appeal, you say there is no case before you. So what are you preserving? To tell you that there is no legal challenge. If the Court of Appeal has identified the matter as the internal affairs of a political party, as having to deal with the leadership of a political party, which the Supreme Court has said is the internal affairs of a political party, and the law now, Section 83, subsection 5, say no court has jurisdiction to entertain any matter that affects the internal affairs of the political. So what case do we have? Okay. Kachuku's case was thrown away by a trial court. The chairmen that went in, what they are contesting is about the congresses, not our leadership. None of them is, yes, not of them is a national leader. So what are we talking about? What we're talking about is that we do not have any case whatsoever, talking from the eyes of the law. Why do you think that Honorable Abejide left? Because he knows that ADC does not have any legal challenge anymore. Their efforts is gone.
That case,
yes.
The case.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court even said, go back to the
trial. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
When the Supreme Court is telling you, you don't have any case, that the case of the trial court is even favorable to you, what are you appealing? Okay. So, Nafiu Bala's case, I'm talking as a lawyer now. Yes. If it has not died, why did Abejide abandon him to go? So he's dead already. We don't have any legal challenge.
We'll look for Abejide to have.
You think he doesn't have that? When you see that guy, you see that his cap yes. that looks like hammer. He knows when the hammer has descended on an issue.
Let's make progress.
So he knows that the Supreme Court has used that hammer in his head to bury every legal challenge. And again, the lower courts always look at the Supreme Court to know the direction. What the Supreme Court did shows that the policy of the judiciary is that there will not be any one-party state, and that there must be fake contest in a judiciary. So anything that will make the court to preserve democracy, the statute, the canon of interpretation say that courts must interpret cases in a manner that will foster democratic principles, not in a manner that will terminate it. So the lower courts now understand that the policy of the Supreme Court is that political parties should not be destroyed, but should be given life so that there will be competitive democracy. Because any election without competition is not democracy. So they would align with that judgment.
We hope so.
By the grace of God.
We hope so. Former governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, consistently has been repeating ad nauseum, if I might add, that Peter Obi is the only political juggernaut in Nigeria. And sometimes when he says that, I wonder if he's not actually indicting his bosom friend, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he says Peter Obi is the only life in ADC, that once Peter Obi leaves ADC, that in fact, if you take Peter Obi out of ADC, there's no ADC, there's no opposition, there's nothing. And true to type, Peter Obi actually left ADC, you know. And then, as if to be on cue, yesterday when some lawmakers defected from the ADC to the NDC, the Senate president, someone number 3 citizen of Nigeria, made a very, for a better...
What do you expect from a defected senator that was expelled from his political party? Senator Godswill Akpabio was expelled by PDP for anti-party issues, and he defected to APC as a senator. So what do you expect? Now, let me tell you, the only institution that is dead in Nigeria today is the National Assembly under the chairmanship of Senator Godswill Akpabio, because that is the institution that ought to provide the check and balance we need in a democracy, and that is the institution that has died when it comes to checking the excesses of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I give you an example. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has borrowed all the quota that in any budget is placed. 2025-2026 capital budget, none was financed by the National Assembly. They set up an oversight. What has come out of it? So Nigeria is borrowing money, subsidy is not being paid, infrastructure is not being financed. So this money has simply been squandered, and there is a Senate president that his National Assembly is, and he is saying ADC. Excuse me. ADC came into existence July 2nd. July 2nd, it was unveiled. We were recognized on the INEC portal by September. We still have 8 senators. We still have more than 10 members of the House of Rep. We've not gone into any election. And Senator Akpabio with his National Assembly. Can a dead person talk? National Assembly under him is. Do you see dead men talk? That's why, according to you, you say tactless. Because when it is the spirit of somebody talking, you'll be hearing it as if he's speaking in tongues. Very tactless, empty. He is the mouthpiece of Tinubu, spokesperson of Tinubu. So he has nothing to account for as a Senate president. So please, let's not bring the issue of a Senate president that is in charge of a National Assembly. They don't have what it takes to determine any political party that is dead. Because right in front of him, he has 8 senators from ADC. And he has many in double digits, members of the House of Rep. So how can such a person die? And these are people that came into us because they believe in us. Not even by election, but by the death of the party that Senator Akpabio abandoned when it was perishing. They were the people that killed PDP because they left PDP to look for greener pastures.
My next question, let's move away from the Senate President's comments, is that the President himself, while they were commissioning the spanking new NRS, Nigerian Revenue Service building, said, he made a lot of comments, but one of those that stood out was that anybody who cannot see his administration's awesome achievements, amazing achievements, needs a pair of eyeglasses. You're one of his staunchest critics, so you are included amongst those who needs a pair of eyeglasses. Where are your eyeglasses? Is the President correct that anybody who cannot see his achievements needs a pair of eyeglasses?
Anybody who wears glasses has sight problems. The President wears glasses because he can't see well. So you don't blame him for not seeing the incompetence and corruption in his government. I don't wear glasses because I can see eloquently well. So we are the ones who do not wear glasses who should tell him that he has failed as a president. You can imagine the World Bank report says that 40%, that's almost 50%, almost half of all the revenue that come to Nigeria do not make it to appropriation. That means almost 50% of all our revenue is diverted through corrupt means to private hands. And the President is saying awesome achievement. What is the awesome achievement in it? That in the ID camp, I am seeing the images that I saw only in Civil War. Kwashoko killing the children. I don't want to talk about this regime, honestly.
As we speak here, Nigerians are facing terrible xenophobic attacks in South Africa. And I was watching to see the response of the federal government, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the President or Vice President. I didn't see any official response. Because I've tried to imagine a situation where Americans anywhere in the world have been attacked and Donald Trump would not speak. or the vice president will not speak on it on a daily basis. So, no response. As we speak here, Dr. Kenneth, our president is in France. Not on a state visit, although I don't know. And from there, we'll go to Rwanda or Kenya and all of that. And then suddenly, after 3 weeks of these xenophobic attacks, killings of Nigerians, the Senate met yesterday and deliberated over this issue. And I thought they were going to, advise or summon the foreign affairs minister and, give him very strong directives on what to do. Rather, they came up with a resolution to go to visit South Africa. And it will be led by, the delegation will be led by the Senate president himself.
Hey, what a tragedy.
How would you respond to this? Is that the right approach?
First of all, what life do you think will come out from a Senate president? When I say dead Senate president, I'm referring to the office.
Yes.
We don't have any Senate, the post of the Senate president in Nigeria now. They just want to have another opportunity to take a star codes to go and enjoy themselves.
You think so?
Did Donald Trump come to Nigeria before what he said starts being implemented in Nigeria? The respect a country has for you will depend on the respect you have for your people. The achievement, the prosperity you're bringing to your people. Nigeria has lost respect in front of the whole world. South Africa is even a big country. Niger Republic, when Tinubu came in, he sent eminent Nigerians on the plane to go to Niger Republic to speak to the junta. The junta sent them back. He did not even allow them to land. Niger Republic, and I'm talking about South Africa. They are telling Nigerians to go. What business would have Nigeria had, even being in South Africa, if what God has given to us, in terms of blessing, material, human resources, solid minerals everywhere, if we have harnessed our resources, what business do we have living in South Africa? We were feeding South Africans. I went to the university with some of South Africans in the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. Nigeria was paying for their school fees. We were a frontline state that fought for the liberation of South Africa, even when they are in Southern Africa. And now, because of leaders like Tinubu that have, made Nigeria to come to zero level, now Nigeria is being insulted by everybody, including South Africa. You said he went to France, and you said not a state visit. So don't you know? Are you looking for my word in Muhammad? When he said Usan, was he healthy? No, I wish him well. I want him to be treated. Look, life does not have duplicate. Anybody who is not well should seek treatment anywhere you can afford from any part of the world. My own is, why try to camouflage it? You're not well. Anybody can be sick. Because when you try to camouflage it, you make things worse. It will be as if when Nigeria needs you most, you are deserting them and going away. And if you are told them, like Buhari, who is the most sincere person, Buhari had health challenges. He goes off from time to time, and he will tell people, I'm going for health challenge. He will transmit power to Oshibanjo. What is there? There is no need covering up anything. Everybody knows you are not well. There is nothing wrong in being unwell. You're a human being, you're not God. What is unwell about it is trying to cover it up and being dishonest. We've had presidents that were not well. Yaradua was there. Buhari was there. When they want to go out, they will say, let me go for medical treatment. And you go and come back. And Nigerians will even be praying for you. Working visit. Working vacation. Vacation visit. Confusing people everywhere. This is party of confusion.
What do you have to say on this? What do you say to South African compared to our brothers in South Africa? The government of South Africa. Because this
the government of South Africa should stop that nonsense. They want to visit their incompetence in managing the affairs of the country. They want to shift the blame as if it is foreigners. Foreigners that, let me tell you, when apartheid ended, they were pleading for Nigerian men because they lost a lot of men. And they will say, if you marry any of our daughters, we'll give citizenship outrightly. They were lobbying Nigerians to come to South Africa. that I know because I went to South Africa. They were treating us so well because they said because of the apartheid, they've discovered that their men have developed inferiority complex to the whites. But Nigerians have this confidence. They don't have this complex. So when they come into South Africa, our brothers, as in the black brothers in South Africa, will be learning from them and seeing how free people reason. They were encouraging Nigerians to come. Unfortunately, as you can see, when they cannot manage their economy, poverty brings in a whole lot of distress. They now want to give their people excuse and they want to shift the blame to foreigners. They should stop that nonsense.
Senator Shomone says,
and protect Nigerians.
Final question. You said the ADC is not weak in that. What the Senate President Ayo Fayoṣe said is not correct. But
Ayo Fayoṣe has been the spokesperson of Peter Obi. The only thing he is trying to achieve, on the day Peter Obi said he's going to NRC, they celebrated in APC. They know Peter Obi will not win. They know that even if he wins, they will take it away from him. So they are more comfortable with a Peter Obi contesting than another person, especially from the north. Because they know that if another wins, they are out of the place. So what they are doing, and I'm happy, Peter Obi now is going to contest. So Ayo Fayoṣe, can you please, if you are an honest man, resign from APC and go and become the spokesperson of Peter Obi? If you don't do that, then you are a hypocrite. Because according to you, Toby is the only body that can win. Oh, Peter Obi is, and you say he's your friend. Why not do one honorable thing? Resign and join Peter Obi and be his spokesperson. And I will know that you are very honest in what you're saying. Without that, you're simply being a hypocrite.
What's the outlook on the future of ADC in terms of the primaries and then standing for election? What chances does the ADC have? Give us a likely presidential ticket permutation for ADC.
I'm a member of NWC. Okay. From day one, we said we are going to provide level playing field. I don't know who's going to be the presidential candidate, and it is the job of the presidential candidate to choose his vice. And whoever ADC chooses, who emerges from free, fair primary election or from consensus, if the aspirants will so agree, we in ADC will support. The departure of Peter Obi will not make us to change our stand on that, because we are building a party for the future and for the nation. If we get our acts correct in ADC, we will get Nigeria correct. Any party that does not know how to respect internal democracy will not know how to respect external democracy or inter-party democracy. So now that Peter Obi is gone, peace, love, unity will come back to ADC, and we will sit down as brothers and we'll look our eyes and look ourselves in the eye, tell ourselves the truth, and completely chart our course. Go and engage Tinubu in election, win him outrightly. As a matter of fact, Peter Obi is not part of the 2027 election. Forget it. His political career is eclipsed. In 1 month or 2 months, you will see what I'm saying.
He will not contest.
No, even if he's there, he will be on the periphery. Because his political career is gone.
I think you're exaggerating the relevance and influence of your party ADC. You know why? Since Peter Obi left, I hear, I've not verified, but I hear that more than 10 million people registered for the ADC have left. They followed Peter Obi to the ADC. You're laughing.
You know why I'm laughing?
So,
yes.
That in fact, the way they left made your system, your server, whatever, to crash.
Okay. Now, you know why I'm laughing?
Yes.
Any political party that is built on lies,
yes,
you can already see that what they are talking is propaganda, not truth. The only party now that lies more than APC is NDC. Because you've not started and you are lying. People register with NIN.
Yes.
So it is very verifiable.
Yes.
And somebody opened his mouth and said within 24 hours, they have 10 million voters.
Yes.
From where? Peter Obi did not, in all his wave, they ascribed the 6.1 million votes to him.
Yes.
And NDC within 24 hours say they have 10 million registered members. How? Please, can you give us the empirical facts? Because you register now with NIN. You don't need long science. Just press it and show Nigerians. Have you even seen their server? It is not on. So where were they registering? Because if their server is on, automatically it will be tabulating the people that are voting. So this is a party that has not started and has started building its foundation on lies and dishonesty, reflecting the character of their leaders. So anything their leaders and the party says, after having made this foundation of lie and dishonesty, should be discountenanced by Nigerians. That I can tell you. You know, when ADC started, we were showing Nigerians the registered vote. Trust me now, Aisha will not lie. So we were showing Nigerians how many voters are we registered. Honesty is the best policy.
Okay, as we wrap up finally, Dr. Okonkwo, you alluded to it earlier. How do you even see the chemistry, the rapport between an Obi and the Kwankwaso? Because when they joined, I saw them Kwankwaso snatching the card from Peter Obi. When they gave him the cap, he snatched the card. The cap. You know, and he had made these comments at Chatham House where he said Peter Obi is a trader. He has a PhD in civil engineering. Is this, is that? How do you see them working together in 1 minute? How do you see them working together?
I'll say it in one sentence. KO is not okay. Strange birds. Kwankwaso has derogatory impression of people of Southeast and is in that coalition to show up his dead political relevance in Kano. He wouldn't ever have come close to Obi with a long spoon. So, but when a drowning man is drowning, he can even hold on to the grandmother trying to survive. So, KO is not okay.
Dr. Kenneth,
for me.
Nice place to anchor. Always a pleasure having you. And I'm sure we'll see you very soon. Thank you once again.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.